Okay, welcome back to another episode of Put a Fork in It. I'm Alice always. This is my wonderful husband Adam, and we are joined today by Amit from Hackett Podcast. Thank you for joining us, Amit. How are you
Thank you.
today?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me on again.
Digging the stash, dude.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, maybe we can get like. Never mind. I'm not going to do it. We're on YouTube. we won't do that. We won't do that. Hang on, let me put these.
How are you both doing?
Doing pretty good. It's been a crazy couple of weeks. We're getting ready to go on vacation in a week. 10 days.
A little over a week.
10 days. Oh, wait. I'm on the other side.
10 more wake ups.
To the water park with your kids?
Yeah. And we made a countdown calendar, so it's been fun. The boy king gets up every morning, rips the, countdown and comes in and screams, 10 more wake ups, mom. 10 more wake ups. But yeah, we're pretty excited. We love going there. It's a very family orientated place, but at the same time, it kind of gears towards adults too. But yeah, it's very wholesome. It's like very wholesome fun, and if you get good deals, it's much cheaper than Disney. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to go to Disney. If I had kids, I wouldn't want to go to Disney anyways because I wouldn't want to wait on those long lines.
That's a reason we love homeschooling, because we can go to places during off times and it's not as busy. Like we're going to and we did this last year too. We went to Sandusky. We have Cedar Point passes, and we went and stayed there right when the kids were going back to school. So there was like nobody there. So you're not waiting in lines or anything.
What's up, chat? How we doing today? Paul says that the audio is fire.
Thank you, Paul. So should I tell the story?
Which one? You got all kinds of stories, honey.
I got all kinds of stories. So last Saturday, Adam and I.
Oh yeah, this story.
So we're going to Walmart. I'm starving, and all I'm thinking about is what we're gonna eat for lunch. So I'm like, oh, maybe I could just make a big salad. I could make that for us. And then I said, ooh, how about hot turkey sandwiches? I make these hot turkey sandwiches. Adam loves them. And Adam looks at me and he's like, ooh, yeah. So he's like, well, maybe you should drink a beer before you make them. Or maybe I should drink a beer before I eat it. And he like chuckles and I'm like, are you saying my turkey sandwiches aren't good unless I'm drunk or you're drunk? And he was like, I mean, maybe, I don't know. So I said, fine, I just won't make them then. So he's like,
and she's like giving me the even like this like look like,
and he is like looking out the window and looking.
Well, I was driving.
Yeah, and he's like, he's just doing the like head rub, like, oh my god, woman.
AFM.
So I'm in the car just looking at him like this.
And I'm driving like, oh my god, like I mean, I can't make it funny. I can't say anything. Like,
so I'm just like giving him this like shitty grin look that I get on my face when I love to fuck with Adam. So later on, we're at home, and I said, you know what's pretty funny is I totally purposely give you and Paul a hard time. Like, I do it on purpose just so I can laugh at your reaction that you get towards me. And it's so funny. And I'm like, and I get such a kick out of doing it to you guys. And I'm like, and then when you guys try and fuck with me, I'm like, shut the fuck up. So Adam says, well, I'm glad you finally see it now. And I'm like, oh, well, I've always seen it. I do it absolutely on purpose. And I always know that I do that. And he was like, well, good. I'm glad you're acknowledging it then. So I'm standing there and I'm like, well, I mean, honestly, Paul should feel thankful that I tell him to shut the fuck up, because of all people, I say it to you and him the most. And yes.
The most. But God forbid if I tell her to shut the fuck up.
Well, that would be rude.
Yeah, that would be rude, actually.
Bucks have said it's dad jokes, but from Alice.
And I just, like, I'm not the girl that's always gonna, like, I may have some zingers, but I'm not the girl that's gonna fuck with you with some zingers. I'm gonna find other ways to do it. And I do it to Paul. Like, Paul will text me something, and I'll text him something back that I know is gonna annoy him, and I'm like, I get such a kick out of it.
But I'm the asshole. I'm the asshole in the house.
But the point of the story is that I love them, and that's why I fuck with them.
She loves fucking with us, and then she loves telling us to shut the fuck up. Mostly, it's all like a path to like just to get to the shut the fuck up part.
I mean, I grew up, my brothers were closer to my age. I spent a lot of time with my dad. I spent a lot of time with the boys growing up, and I figured out how to annoy them and make them like do this like thing. And it's so funny because I love their reaction.
And the shut the fuck up came later in life.
Was this after you both got married? Or was this happening in between?
Oh, she's been telling me to shut the fuck up for a decade and a half easily, dude. I mean, not much first. First wants to know how much training fluid you've had.
I mean, this is my first one. This is not like last week. Oh my God. Last week I came in like rude, but it was crazy week. Moms need to relax too. It's okay. I mean, some guys
I had a crazy week this week as well. I did 3 interviews back to back.
Oh, and yeah, your one with CD was long. That went on for 2 hours.
Yeah, I was surprised that went that long. I don't know she was gonna talk for that long.
Man, women could talk, man. I mean, there's one thing about women, like they could talk. I mean, well, I'm about to get a shut the fuck up, but that's okay. That's okay. I'll take one for the team here, guys. It's fine, no problem.
You talk a lot too.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
So shut the fuck up.
Yeah, CD's great. I'm hoping she's gonna try and get a Friday night to come on here. But yeah, I found out through that CD doesn't really like Rush, and we don't like Rush.
Fuck Rush.
And
let me see if I can remember how to do this.
You can do it. No, you can't because we turned. Oh, okay, yeah, there you go.
Keep talking. You like to talk. Thank you, Michael. Thank you. That was well worth it. Well worth it. Daniel said thank you for having him on, Amit.
Oh, you're welcome, Daniel. You did good, Daniel. I know you were very nervous, but you did good.
Oh.
Daniel, I would like to say thank you for switching up your day to allow Amit to join us this evening.
Oh yeah.
When Adam told me that he wanted me to come on your guys' show, I was like, hey, I need to move my schedule around so I can come on with to see Alice and Adam.
Thank you, Amit. Thank you for just sharing your Friday with us. Fuck you, Paul.
Paul said that Adam and I do shut the fuck up, especially when it's not our own show.
It's especially.
Oh, especially. My bad.
Because that's
kind of like tenor shoes or Tupperware.
He makes fun of the way I talk, and he also says I can't say pool, or pole right.
She'll be like, let's go to the pool.
It's a pool.
Yeah, now you're saying it right because you're thinking about it.
And bag.
Someone said on your show last night that when you said that, you must have said that we needed milk. And they said milk, MELK in the chat. Alice,
I don't say milk.
You say milk. It's milk.
I say.
Now you're thinking about it, so you're going to say it with an I.
Okay, listen, y'all. My mom came from West Virginia, and my family, like, they
look. Randy said, "Did Alice just say poll 3 times?" Thank you.
Fuck you, Randy.
We need a soundboard now.
We do.
How about this?
I mean, it's like I'm never getting married.
No, I don't actually mind.
You might not have a choice with that stash, dude.
I don't.
that was slick, dude.
I wasn't gonna let it grow out. I was like, I need to change my looks. I was like, I'm gonna grow a mustache instead. Because I usually have a full beard. Like, it's just getting itchy. I don't know how men have full blown beards for like months on end. It gets to the point where my neck starts to like itch.
Yeah, he does that in the winter because he'll let his grow out more. And yeah, you'll see him like doing this all the time. So I started
Like a dog. The goatee I've had the goat for, man, like over 20 years. I've had
Well,
the
the
goat.
goatee is easy to maintain. It's just a beard when it gets like super long. You gotta like trim it all. Stuff. Like I'm not doing it that long.
Can't do it.
deal. I know how to say deal.
He's asking if you say deal or dill. Like
Dill.
that's a dill.
I say deal.
You're not saying it right. You're thinking about it. I can tell you're thinking about it.
Man. Oh, why do you guys make fun of the way I talk?
Because you tell everybody to shut the fuck up.
That could be it too. Never told him to shut the fuck up.
It's
You
because
did
Amit's a nice non-confrontational guy, which I learned like right off rip today. Because he didn't want to do anything to get blocked by Jesse Kelly to join the rest of the FMU.
Ooh, by the time this is over, I'll have a few beers in me. I might have to talk to Jesse. Who knows? I try. Listen, so
And it pains me because he's a Buckeyes fan.
yeah, that is rough.
Fuck Jesse Kelly.
So you guys saw this stuff? Did you see there was somebody accusing FM of being trans? So yeah.
Yeah, I saw that whole thread. People are weird. People are really weird. They act really weird towards her. She got some really weird fans. I don't do that because
I love her fans.
It's not my. I don't. That's weird to me to do.
She definitely like. I like to think of Forrest Mommy as like a cat lady, and she just brings in all the stray misfit cats of the Liberty world, and that's like all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just like the one out there with the can of tuna saying, "Come and eat, guys." And she. But sometimes you get like cats that she doesn't want, that she will kick in the face to get them away from the rest of the cats.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of a weird analogy that
Well, did you see the other? Alice, did you see the other tweet that some random person was doing? You were in it. Hex was in it. I was like, "What the hell is going on?" She was. That person was accusing. Yeah, it was you. You comment on like later on. This was I think yesterday.
Oh, the abortion dude.
Yeah, that was weird. That was really
weird. Too many. He said too many parts on the top of his head. He's got to be careful because if he walks away from them priests without his mouth being full, they'll just start passing him around.
I was like, people on Twitter are weird.
They are. I don't get putting so much negativity out there. We were talking about this last night. CD and I watched this show, and a girl and a guy got caught having an affair, and people are going to this girl's page and they're like, "You're a whore, you're a slut," and it's like, okay, definitely wasn't a classy move to sleep with one of your closest boyfriends of 10 years, but why are you taking the time out of your day to just go and trash her over and over and over again? If anything,
does this person start with a C? Is it that I'm not gonna say his name because I don't want to put him out, and I don't know. Here's the thing: people are like way get absorbed into like other people's personal lives. People need to stop that because your opinion is not gonna change what's going on with their overall problem.
Yeah, I mean, for me,
you're just putting matches in the fire to let it grow up more, so the person could either get completely like taken out of the like what he or she is doing in the media.
The problem with Twitter, and there's a yin and a yang to everything, right? There's a good and a bad to like everything. Drinking, there's a good and a bad. You could feel great on a Friday night and feel like shit the next day, kind of thing, or do stupid shit, or whatever. So.
Marriage, you have a beautiful wife that loves you, but she also tells you to shut the fuck up sometimes.
Sure. The problem with Twitter, like there's a good thing about Twitter because we can attest to this that it can bring people together. Like somebody that you never thought that you would, us right now, Paul, Doug, and Jess and Hex here last September, but the yang to that yin is jackasses that get on Twitter behind a keyboard that say shit that they know that they have no repercussions of being punched in the fucking mouth. And that's something that we try to tell our daughter is like, if you are gonna go online, don't say anything to anybody online that you wouldn't say to their face. Because everything that I say to somebody online, I would say to their face because I don't think they'll punch me in the mouth.
One thing I noticed is that I used to get a lot of guys that would say shitty stuff to me. Like
Why is that?
I mean, for one, I would get like a lot of Republican followers, and then they would assume by certain things I said that I was also Republican. And I may say something, like "Mo back the blue" and like post a thing of police officers doing something shitty. So I would get Republican men like saying crappy stuff to me. And then I noticed when I put the picture of me and Adam as my profile picture, so many less men said stuff to me because most men aren't going to say that with my husband.
Yeah, Adam would probably kick their asses anyways.
Excuse me?
Bye, Felicia.
He's so cute.
Nope.
It's not. Go on. Love you.
So what I was saying is your comment was that they won't do anything to Adam. What I was going to say is, yeah, Adam probably would kick their ass because he's kind of terrifying. I'm not going to lie.
I'm just a softie, man. I mean, like, well, unless you go and fuck with my family, then they say like don't fuck with a mama bear. Well, you don't want to fuck with this papa bear, because if you got mama bear coming, I'm right behind her. Like it's just yes, for some of you are, like I said, you're the only honorable fucking Republican.
He's the only one.
I think.
We're gonna get some ring cam video of First and his wife in a couple weeks. That's what that was from. It was a ring cam. That's where that video was from.
Yeah, it is. That's what it's from.
Yeah. It was and what's funny is people are like, well, why is she doing this? And I'm like, dude, watch his video. He literally says about her, it is my fault because I chose the wrong person. She just decided she didn't want to be married anymore. And then when you read
this is what I don't understand. When you both got married, did you think everything out before you like said, okay, you're gonna be my husband, I'm gonna be your wife? Did you talk everything out? Because I feel like most of these relationships that guys and women go into, they don't talk. They just go on. They flush into their relationship like, okay, we're both find each other attractive. Okay, we're gonna get married. Well, we're not gonna talk about, are we gonna do this moving forward or not? There's no communication.
Yeah, we kind of had that figured out relatively quickly.
But I also think you and I set boundaries early on, like stuff that we will tolerate, stuff that we won't tolerate, I said last night when I first saw that video, I said, I'm not going to make a judgment off of a 3-minute video. I'm like, it does come off very creepy, the way he was talking to her. And Adam and I don't really fight a lot, but we've had a few really big, ugly fights. And I would never want to be judged by those awful moments. But I think one thing that would break my heart is if in a calm conversation, this conversation was relatively calm between them. They were both upset. You can tell they're both upset, but it's a relatively calm conversation. And he looked at his wife and said, but I don't love you. And I was like, oh, dude. And she's 8 months pregnant. Like, if Adam looked at me and said very calm, very matter of fact, but I don't love you, it would shatter my heart into pieces. But if Adam and I are having a conversation like that, and I'm not saying Adam and I are better, I'm just saying, like, in a conversation like that where we're both somewhat calm and we're trying to work through things, we don't insult each other. We do our best to be like, well, when you say this, this is how I feel. Maybe it's not your intention to do that, but that's how I feel. And I mean, watching it, there's definitely a lot to that. But I think if he should have just, when he announced the divorce, he should have just been like, yes, we're getting a divorce. We're not going to speak about it publicly. Just, yes, it is true that I'm getting divorced, but he chose to say that she was the one that chose not to be married anymore. And it was his fault for choosing the wrong woman. And then from her statement and then the article that I read, he had already went and bought a townhouse. He was speaking to a divorce attorney, and she didn't know this stuff, and she found it out. The heart surgery that he claimed to be having was elective. He chose to have it a month before their twins were born. He chose not to be there for the birth. And then there was text messages, and all of this stuff is all in the courts, I guess. Like, this has all been handed over to the courts during the divorce. But there were texts between the two of them, and she's begging him to get help for his anger. And she's like, I am scared of you. I am honestly scared of you. And I don't know how people found it out, but they're saying by his own admission, he did say to his wife, I will fuck you up. And I'm just like, holy shit, dude. I'm like thinking back to the times me and Adam had some pretty ugly arguments, and I'm like, yeah, I never heard that one. That would scare me. It's coming from Adam, especially if he was like, I will fuck you up. I was like, well, this doesn't sound like a fun Saturday night.
You probably told him to shut the fuck up and get out of my house. If you were in that situation, you probably told him to shut the fuck up and please leave. Let's get out of the house.
Yeah, that would have been it, right? Just shut the fuck up, Adam, and then and.
Well, I don't understand something. Is most of these confrontations that happen between man and woman, I feel like most of them are over when someone is intoxicated, and these types of things come out. Because I got a feeling, I watched that video also, and I have a feeling, I know he was smoking cigars, but he probably drank before he had that fight with her.
He does he's big on whiskey.
He's a whiskey drinker, yeah.
He's big on that.
I don't know if it's bourbon or scotch, but it don't matter. Whiskey's whiskey.
I can honestly say the biggest arguments Adam and I have ever been in, we were drinking, and it was an emotional time. Like, it was usually there was a couple nicks in our wall at our old house, and we were going to name them after the person that died, because it was like, oh, well, Aunt Nora died, and then mom died, so it was like a joke. But
kamikaze cocaine's a hell of a drug. Oh, man.
But yeah, and we've definitely had to work on that. And then I definitely think that, recently I got cocky thinking like I have my emotions in check. Like, I may still get sad sometimes, but I'm totally fine. And then it turned out like I was totally not fine. And I still deal with a lot of stuff with my dad being sick, losing my mom and dad, and abuse that I dealt with growing up. And a lot of it kind of didn't come out until after my dad died.
Yeah.
And he felt really bad because he felt like he didn't give me the space to talk about certain things, because there were certain things I would say to him about my brother, and he would be like, okay, I really like your brother. I don't want to hear about this crazy shit from you guys growing up. So I was like, okay. And then later on, after my dad had passed away, some stuff started happening with my siblings. And one day I just sat down and I said, look, this is what was going on, and these were the things that were happening, and I'm like, this is how my brother really treated me, and he felt awful. He was like, why didn't you tell me? And I was like, because I didn't want you to hate my brother. And it was true. I wanted my family to be okay for my parents. I wanted to get past everything in the past, and I wanted it to be okay for my kids, but I didn't realize how bad it was for me and what that was doing to me. I thought I was doing the right thing. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of people too. I see this, people will be like, and Q brought this up one day in a tweet, get through the hard shit, and then let's talk about how good your marriage is. And Adam and I have been through very difficult emotional trauma from both of our lives that we've had to work through in our marriage. We've suffered loss. We've had to take care.
And it's going to happen no matter what. Like, if you're like, we have a good marriage, like our relationship is good. But like, no matter, like, if you work with somebody for 25 years, you're going to bump heads with them. Right. But the difference is that you get to go home away from that person.
Yeah.
For the weekend, for the evening or whatever. But like, if you get into it with your spouse and then, you don't really have anywhere to go. I mean, like, I go to work, but then I come back home, like, so it really doesn't matter it doesn't matter whose fault the quarrel is. Cause I'll tell you something real quick. One of our knockout down dragouts was something so stupid. And actually, it turned out she was right about it. The Cavs were down 3-1 in the NBA Finals to the Warriors in 2016. And I was like, it's over. It's fucking over. Like, I was drinking. I was trashed at the end of the game.
I was sober.
And she's just like being positive. And I'm like, fuck that. And I like threw a beer at the wall or something and like the beer went through the wall and fell down between the studs. And then, we had this big ass fucking hole in our living room because I was drunk, didn't believe that we were going to come back and win a 3-1 series. And sure enough, we did. You want to know how stupid I felt patching that fucking hole?
It was funny though. Like, well, it wasn't funny. I mean, and we
can look back and laugh at it now, but at the time, that shit wasn't funny.
That was another time where, my mom had passed away. Our son was born. It was just, and right when our son was born, I went into the hospital knowing that we had to go to a funeral in a couple days because my cousin's husband just suddenly passed away.
I did not kamikaze.
Yeah, so it was very sudden. So it was just like very stressful. So he's thinking like, I'm gonna watch the Cavs game and I'm just gonna drink and I'm gonna let loose and I can just relax. And then they lost, and I'm all like, it's okay, they can come back. And he did it with Ohio State, but it
didn't get that bad. But yeah, JT Barrett got hurt in 2014. We had already lost to Virginia Tech early in the year. JT Barrett got hurt. And I'm like, there's no fucking way this is going to happen. And we already lost. And she's like,
I'm like, there's always
be positive, have hope, be hopeful. And sure enough, it was like our third string quarterback came in, hung a 59 burger on Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship game. And we went on and pounded Alabama in the semis of the inaugural season of the college football playoff, and then we went and beat Marcus Mariota in Oregon in the national championship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the point is you're gonna get into stupid fights, and you're probably gonna get into big fights. Not everybody is my Aunt Alice and Uncle Dick. They're like an anomaly that their marriage was the way it was. But yeah, you're gonna get into fights, and I think too many people, both men and women, like get so mad over the dumbest shit. And I'm just like, your marriage is never gonna last if that's the stuff that you're getting really mad over. For instance, Adam is very bad with time. He'll say, I'll be home in a few, which means like an hour. And Adam
or two.
And
a couple minutes is like a half hour, maybe 45 minutes.
And it used to really annoy me because I'm somebody like, I like things timed out. I'm also trying to make sure your dinner is hot when you get home. So I would get really annoyed. And then I just learned to laugh about it. And when he says I'll be home in a few, I say, when you say a few, what do you really mean? Like, are we talking 15 minutes here? Are we talking a half hour? Just want to know for dinner. And I say it to you all the time, for dinner purposes.
She texted me today. I was driving back to the shop, and she's like, "When are you coming home?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I'm on my way back to the shop. Why? What's up?" She's like, "Just dinner purposes." I was like, "Okay, yeah. I'll be headed there soon."
Yeah, I just want to make sure his dinner is kind of warm. And then the
Like
other
a
day,
good wife.
and then the other day I had dinner all nice and ready, and then he came home and he mowed the lawn, and I sat at the table and ate by myself because he took the boy king with him.
Believe me, I didn't want to mow the lawn. I got trashed at darts the night before, and I was tired as all get the fuck out on Wednesday.
But the lesson is, if you get married to me, yeah, like work all that stuff out, work out boundaries, and
How you want to raise kids, like religion wise, school wise, work
Oh
wise.
yeah, I'm not putting my kids in school at all because one thing about me I didn't tell you in the last episode, I was in special ed education because of my transplant. And let's just say being in special ed and being like having like a TA, like an adult TA, so in case something happens to you, they can take you to the nurse's office, probably was not a good thing to do. I should have not done that because I didn't really learn anything from pretty much elementary to like high school. And then when I went to high school, I was also in special ed, and let's just say that wasn't a really great. The whole high school experience I had was really weird.
High school's just, but high school is weird for everybody. It's like the strangest. It's serious. Like me, for instance, I was enrolled in high school. I never really went. And when I was a freshman in high school, I was in an off-campus OWA like work program, and it was for
wait, OWA was off campus for you?
they had an OWA on campus, like your normal OWA kids. We were for like bad kids.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were like, and it was for communities that I lived in and like surrounding communities, and yeah, it was for bad kids. They had two cops walking. There was like we had like 125 kids, 100 kids or so in this program. They had to have like cops follow us. Like we were 15 years old, and they were letting us go outside to smoke cigarettes, and we were just smoking weed, and they knew it. And they just didn't care. Like, okay, well, here, it's art class. Let's go smoke, go smoke a cigarette. We were actually we were in the YMCA for our first building, and we got kicked out of the YMCA because we were all so bad. Like there wasn't a cafeteria.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't learn anything in my education at all. Even when I went to college, I first went to community college for like I think a year to figure out what the hell I was gonna do. And I dropped out. Then I found a small private university. I ended up doing network administration. I graduated with a degree in that, but I never actually pursued it because after I finished with that, I went straight to my bachelor's, which that's a different story in itself because I never actually finished that as well.
Yeah, like school. Some people thrive in that shit. Most people don't. I mean, like Kamikaze says, it's like Lord of the Flies, but with less murder, unless you go to school in Chicago.
Yeah, I didn't have any issues with like violence and stuff in high school at all. I mean, we did have like gangs. We had the Mexicans. They didn't like the black people. We had all that stuff. And you could tell that they didn't like each other because there was a situation one time. I walked into a building and there were all these Mexican people lined up in one building, and the black people were across the lawn. So anything broke out, they probably would just run in the middle of the field we had, a quad area, and start fighting.
Yeah, school is. I don't want to. How do I explain school like from my point of view? I never liked school, like ever, ever, right? And like in being, an adult, it was with me. My big problem with school was the authority that came with it. Like, I didn't like, and my mom will tell you this to this day, that, people telling me what to do, like ever since I was the Boy King's age, like was not a good idea. Like if you came up to me with like an ultimatum, like for instance, what got me out of high school, I turned 18 years old my senior year of high school. And I just I raised my hand and I didn't ask if I may go to the bathroom. I said, I'm going to the bathroom. And the teacher's like, well, says who? And I was like, well, me. Because I just turned 18. I'm a grown man. Ain't nobody telling me what to do. So, like, I'm not asking permission. I'm telling. She said no. I got up and walked to the door. And then she's like, if you walk out that door, don't come back.
Yeah, okay. That's one thing I never understood. What the point with that was, because they usually had, when I went to high school, they usually had someone walking around, because if they caught you with a hall pass not filled out, then they would tell you to go back to class. And I think in my high school, they give you like a 2 warning thing. And the third one is you got into the principal's office.
When I was in 7th grade, so here, Randy said he liked 8th grade so much that he went for 3 years. Yeah, I went to 8th grade twice, so did her, but I went through 8th grade twice, and I should have went for a 3rd year, but my middle school was like, get this fucking kid out of here.
Let me make something very clear.
Mm-hmm.
I failed 8th grade on purpose. On purpose.
Why is
Because
that?
my best friend failed, and I hated the kids that were in 8th grade with me. I got along with the
Person must have diabetes too.
7th graders, and I purposely failed 8th grade. And then, yeah, I went to high school, and I was in Pride in Academics, National Honor Society, made the honor roll and stuff. And then I just, with my dad being sick and all the stuff that was like happening at home, school was just boring to me. It was so boring. I wasn't really learning anything. I mean, it's just open a book, memorize a bunch of shit,
That's all it is. A school is memorization. They want you to memorize shit. They don't want to.
Yeah.
They don't want to teach you anything. They want to show you what to memorize.
Did you ever thought that school can be like a prison system?
Absolutely.
Because I realized that like after like a few, like I think I looked it up, is the school system like a prison system? Like, yeah, this is totally is, because it's, if you especially like, they have like a bell, the whole bell schedule thing you used to have in high school, where it would ring and you go to your next class. Same thing I think happens in the prison. It's like you have a certain time where you can do like your like work, or you go eat, and then you
so when Scar was in 2nd grade, 1st grade, she used to come home from school and be super hungry. She'd smash a bunch of food when she.
Well, yeah, and me and my friend that we would go and pick our kids up together. We noticed, our kids weren't eating their lunches, and we're like, "What the fuck?
What's going on?" And she was like 6 years old. Like she was like, I believe it was 2nd grade, and she'd be like, "Well, we don't have enough time to eat," and it's like, "Well, how long? You get like 40-45 minutes to eat. Like that should be plenty of time."
I remember in high school, I only got like 35 minutes to eat.
Well, yeah, but when you're
elementary school is a lot less.
18, we're talking about like a 6-year-old here.
Yeah, I think in elementary school as well. I if I remember properly, you only got like certain amount of time to eat.
So the problem is that the assistant principal would make the kids put their heads down and their hands up, because you get 150 kids sitting there in the cafeteria, talking in the middle, in the middle part of their day, which is supposed to be a release. That's why elementary schools have recess to let the kids go out and blow off steam from being cooped up all morning, and then to coop them up all afternoon. And you're absolutely right. I mean, it's the same thing. They bus prisoners to prison. They bus kids to school. They force you to get along with everybody. Why should you have to get along with everybody if you don't get along with everybody?
And speaking of food, is in the prison system, I think now you have to actually make some money to actually buy food, and then in actual public schools, you have to also pay money to get food. Because I remember they used to have those food stamp things where you used to like have like it was a whole calendar year, so you got like breakfast and lunch. I never did that because I took food from home, but a lot of my friends did that. They used to have those like thick like yellow and black
Exactly.
calendar type thing where you ripped up a ticket and you had to go get your food.
A meal ticket. I mean, it's the same shit.
Yeah, and then we found out one day when her lunch wasn't packed, she bought lunch that day. She got up to go to the bathroom, and the vice principal came and just threw her food away. Just threw it away and wouldn't let her get anything else. And I'm just like,
Yeah,
so
I've noticed that in elementary school, a lot of the principal or like the assistants they had like aside of the principal, they would do that. If you did any troublemaking, they'll pick up your food and throw it in the trash like, hey, your lunchtime is over. Now
Yep.
go stand in a corner or just sit down and be quiet.
yeah, we ended up having a meeting with the principal and the vice principal. And my biggest problem,
We
so
pulled her out of school for 3 weeks. There was like 6 weeks, 5-6 weeks left in the school year, and we pulled her. We straight pulled her out of school for like for 3 of those last 5 or 6 weeks because we had to sit down with the principal and the assistant principal, and they were pissed at us from the get-go.
well, and here's the thing. So where Scar was going to school was it was more low income, so there are probably a lot of people who they weren't as educated as I was. And when we sat down with the principal, I don't think she expected me to articulate myself as well as I did and kind of be able to come at her in the way that I did. So she was immediately pissed.
On the defense.
And the vice principal was sitting there like this.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what are you, 16? I didn't say this, but I was looking at her like, you look like an angry 16-year-old girl that is about to get into a fight. You're not acting like a principal. So the meeting that we requested was both with the principal and the vice principal. We requested both of them to be there. And when I started stating the stuff that the vice principal did, the principal steps in. She's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Excuse me. You requested this. You're not going to sit here and attack her. And I said, I'm not attacking her. I am stating the issues that I have with your school, the way you're running it, and the way your vice principal is treating not only my child, but children even younger than her. And then Adam came in and said, you don't keep my daughter safe. She's getting threatened by boys. You stick up for them. And she's like, well, I cannot guarantee your child's safety. And we were just like,
that was like the last draw. And I said, then she won't be back.
And she said, fine, pull her out. So I turned to her and I said, you wait, I'm calling the CEO of schools. And she said, go ahead, call so-and-so. I don't care. I was like, okay, we'll see. So I got on Twitter. I started tagging the CEO of schools. At that time, Ben Shapiro had retweeted me. A senator had retweeted me. And I started tagging the CEO under the tweets of Ben Shapiro. The CEO got back to me. We spoke to the superintendent of schools. They did an investigation, and guess who got fired? Yeah, bitch, I'm not stupid. I may live in Cleveland. I may be blue collared, but I am well educated and I am not stupid by any means. Like, you came for the wrong one. You came for the wrong one. And yeah, we got that bitch fired.
And I'm not one to actively try to unemploy someone.
But she deserved it.
But she, when, like I said, man, you fuck with with those that I love, and you're gonna get like the full whatever wrath I can bring upon you, whatever hellfire I can bring. That's what I'm bringing. I mean, it was.
Well, Mama Bear really brought it. I was on top of that.
I didn't have to say much. I just and I understand. I understand there's certain threats. This was back in 2017 because it was after Parkland and Kyle Kashev retweeted her tweet with Scarlett getting bullied at school. And where the fuck was I going with this? God damn it, Doug.
He's not even here. Well, and
I understand that there's certain threats that, just like in everyday life that people and my kids, face. But if you can't protect my kid from another boy saying that he's going to set her on fire or throwing a pair of scissors at her. And if you can't discipline this kid, and then the reason you give me that you can't discipline him is because he's being raised by a single mom, that don't fucking fly with me, because that's how I was raised. I never never did that kind of shit when I was a kid. I have a problem with the system, with authority, but I didn't if I had a problem with a student, there's ways to handle that. You know, even if it's a female student, there's other ways of handling it. But when you get these boys thinking that they're going to do this shit to my kid, I'll go slap the fucking shit right out of one of them kids.
Well, and
sleep just fine that night.
My best friend, I wouldn't exactly say she's a single mom anymore. Her and her boyfriend have been together for a few years. But at the time, she was a single mom. Her sister was a single mom. Her sister had a boy. And let me tell you, if I came up to her and said, you know, when so-and-so were playing in the backyard with Scar, you know, he hit her or he threatened to do this, she would have been out that door like, boy, get your butt over here. You do not talk to people like that. And you especially don't talk to girls like that. But this boy, man, he was bad. The one day, it was really stupid. They used to have these morning assemblies, and I would go and sit through them with Scar, and I would walk her to class, and I'd help the other kids get their stuff together. And I was looking down at Grayson, and then I looked up, and I see this boy, and Scar's got her jacket on, and he's got her like this. And I went up, and I separated them, you know, and I just kept my cool, and I'm like, don't put your hands on each other, you know, and I just walked away. And then 2 days later, her teacher comes up to me, this little short lady, just really cool lady, came up to me, and she was pissed. So I'm like, oh man, dude, like, what did Scarlett do? Like, what the fuck? And she walks up to me. She's like, you have got to go to the principal's office and talk about this boy doing this to your daughter. I keep sending him down, and he keeps harassing your daughter every day. This is all the time, and nothing's being done about it.
The teacher would send him to the principal's office. The principal would send him right back. And like, where the principal failed the kid is like, that could have been a learning lesson, like a life lesson for that kid. Mm-hmm. You know, instead of just saying, oh, you know, here you go, you're raised by a single mom, you just go on and do whatever you want to do. They could have shown him, and I'm not saying suspend him or expel him or whatever, but they could have shown him that there was consequences to his actions, and they didn't. Instead, he was going and doing shit that he shouldn't have been doing, and she's just like, yeah, go ahead. And at that time, Cleveland schools had open enrollment. So you could be in anywhere in the city of Cleveland and send your kid to any school that you wanted to, and they would bus your kid to that school. Just like any other city, big city, or mediocre sized city in the country, there's good spots and there's bad spots. Now, I understand the thinking behind it, because if you take some of these kids that are from bad neighborhoods and maybe put them in better schools, maybe they would, get a different outlook on life, on how things can be different than what they're going through. But when you're just going to go and say, no, you know what, kid, you're being a little asshole, but we're going to send you right back. No problem. All you're doing is setting that kid up for prison.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I had a principal in school, and so me and my best friend at the time were skipping school a bunch, and we got caught. She lived right across the street from the school, and what I would do is I would go into first period. I would check into first period. After first period, wait for everybody to get their classes. You stay under the one stairwell, and I could go right out this door and run to my friend's house without anybody noticing. And I was doing it all the time. My dad was in the hospital. My mom was like rarely ever home and stuff. And her mom was just a fucking loser, right? So her mom ends up catching us getting suspended. And this lady is such trash, man. She was such a trashy mom. So I got called to the principal's office, and this principal looked at me and said, at least Kristen, I'll just say her name. At least Kristen's mom cares about her. Your mom's not even here. And I lost it. I lost it on this dude. I'm like, first of all, you sat there while she abused her daughter in the office. Second of all, my mom is at the hospital with my dad all the time, and I'm 17 years old, and I know damn well I should be going to school, and this is not my mom's fault. These are my choices.
Not the state, Paul, just spices.
And it's no reflection on my parents. Like I have good parents. Now, sad ending to the story. The friend that I'm talking about, we went to her funeral a few years ago because she OD'd on heroin. And part of the reason she did so many drugs is because her mom had men in and out of the house all the time that would do shit to my friend. And she was all fucked up in the head from it. And that principal sat there and said, at least her mom cares about you. It's like, man, you're so stupid. Like, you can't even tell the difference between my mom and her mom.
Mhm.
Like, I'm 17 years old and I know a whore when I see one.
So Kamikaze, I've not seen that show, but I know Doug has clamored over it a lot. I've seen clips of it, and I do know the scene you're talking about. But yeah, it's a show that I do want to see. And I don't think that the principal was necessarily friends with the mom. I think the principal was just a liberal cuck that, you know, came up with excuses for people just because, you know, they're of color or in a bad neighborhood.
Yeah, she was a very liberal principal. Like, I went
like pantsuit liberal, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, and she loved the parents that kissed her ass.
Yep, not one, and that, it's not even that we tried telling her how to do her job. You know, we were coming to her, and it wasn't. There was a build up to the sit down with the principal and the assistant principal. It wasn't just we got to have a conversation kind of thing. It was
it took over a year.
There was a build up to it, you know, and
like it started in one grade, carried over to another grade.
Yes, Kamikaze.
And part of the reason I was mad was, and we see this a lot with the victim mentality, right?
Mhm.
I had lost my mom. We were getting ready to move in with my dad. I knew I was moving in with my dad to watch him die, and I was terrified. Didn't show it a lot, but I was terrified because it was this reality that I could not hide from. Like, he is going to die, and you're going to have to sit there and watch it every fucking day, and you don't have your mom. You have a young son, and I was terrified. I didn't go to the school and be like, well, you know, this is happening to my daughter and look at everything that I'm going through. But that's how people look at life. They make excuses. Look, I get that life can get hard. I have fucked up. I have done shitty fucking things in my life. But it doesn't matter what I've been through. I made those choices. So listen, it sucks to be a single parent. I wouldn't want to do it, but that is no excuse to let your child just run amok and be horrible to women, because you're allowing, you know, let's say your husband or the father of your children just did bail and leave. You're teaching your son to be the same type of man.
Yep.
To not respect women, to not hold them like I hate it when women think, oh, well, men just try to protect us because they think we're weaker and we're strong. And it's like, well, you are strong. Women are very strong, wonderful human beings. I know part of it is because I am physically weaker, but I also know that my husband protects me because he sees the value in me.
No, you're not. You're not weak. You're not weak at all.
I beat her in arm wrestling.
I could see you taking on his shit. That's why I'm saying that.
That's a valid, you know, observation for sure.
Oh yeah.
I'm not an easy person to deal with, but you know what? Neither is she.
No, I'm not. But we both just like appreciate the great parts about each other, and I think both of us saw in each other, like, if we just love this person and can show them patience, like, we can have a really awesome life together. And I think we're doing pretty good. Fuck you, Randy.
And Connect 4.
Man, and you know what, Randy? We played that a couple days later, and I was beating him like three or four times, and he was so mad.
He's like, don't do this and shit. Like, Sup, kid?
What really makes me mad though is the Hungry Hippo. Have you ever played Hungry Hippo? I mean,
Yeah, I
you
have.
know, so like there's like the yellow ball or the golden ball or whatever, and
I
I'm
think
just
it's the ball for the yellow hippo because like
no,
The
there's
balls are usually
all the
white.
red balls, and then there's a
I thought they had-
yellow ball, and the yellow ball is worth more.
What kind of edition did you play? Because I remember playing Hungry Hippo, and it was all the balls that the hippos ate were white.
yeah, that was. I mean, how old are you and me?
I'm 31.
Man, I'm like fucking young. I would say that's back in the 80s, but I mean, you weren't born in like 92. St. Michael put a picture of himself up when like the Christmas in '96, I think, on Twitter the other day, and it's like, man, I was stoned as a goat that Christmas. I was 15 years old, sitting in my room playing video games, smoking pot. My mom was making me food.
You know what I did one time? So I have this aunt and uncle. Well, they're both dead now, as most of my family is. And they were like really, really good. And here's the thing: I was a bad kid, and I could be rowdy and rebellious.
What's up, Abe?
But let me tell you, my parents were not having the acting out in front of family members. Like it just does not happen. I was not that kid. I did not mouth off to family members. So I'm 19 or probably 20 or 21, and my friend and I, Ian, we smoked this huge joint, and fucking my Aunt Mary and Uncle Jim showed up, and I was like, fuck. Like I was high. I was so high. And my mom's like, Alice, come downstairs. Your Aunt Mary's here. And I'm like, fuck. Oh my God. What am I going to do? I'm so high. So I have to go downstairs, right? There's no denying it. Dude, my aunt comes up to me. She's like, oh, honey, I'm so sorry for everything you've had to go through recently. I love you so much. And I'm high.
Hey, when I was
I look over and my friend is standing in the doorway, like laughing silently. And I'm just like, I know Aunt Mary. And she's like, are you okay? And I'm thinking, right now I was. Yeah, so that's I don't know how I
holidays at my house growing up, like my mom and her siblings didn't really get along after my grandma died, so it was like more myself, my mom, and then like the drunk people at the bar that she would work where she worked at would come over, and the one lady would come over and get so drunk that my mom would end up having to hide booze. So like my mom taught me how to drink. Like I get my drinking tolerance from my mother.
Adam's mom drinks more than any other female I have ever seen in my entire
she'll put
freaking
it used to be
life.
beer. Now she just drinks whiskey and maybe a splash of water or some ice. But anyway, she would go for like Christmas or like Thanksgiving and shit. She'd get like bottles of champagne and she'd get like 4 or 5 bottles, but like 2 or 3 of them would end up in my bedroom. So her one friend wouldn't, want to stick around and drink the rest of her booze.
Your mom's like, fuck that shit. That's fine.
Right. But I got this novel idea. Like, okay, I'm just sitting here smoking weed and playing video games. I'm going to pop one of these bottles of champagne and start drinking one of them. And if I get asked about it, I'm just be like, yeah, I saw, what's her name in my room, drinking, pouring glasses of booze. So I'm like 15, 16, 17 years old, getting trashed at my house and blaming other people for the lack of booze that's there. And I would just take my food and go right into my room. I mean, my mom would make me like my own batch of deviled eggs because I'm a whore for some deviled eggs. I do some Doug type shit for some deviled eggs probably. Especially when I was smoke some weed, play Twisted Metal, and I wouldn't even use a glass to drink their champagne. I'd pop the little plastic cork out, boop, put it right back. Yeah, that's how I was raised.
Yeah,
if I ever saw my kids doing that, I'd kick their ass. So if they ever decide to try to get funny and watch anything like this, you guys do anything that I did when I was a teenager, I'll whoop your ass.
My dad never really drank.
Yes, kamikaze.
Maybe like my dad would have like a couple drinks, but my mom was like me, like she liked to let loose once a week, but other than that, she didn't drink. But yeah, I remember when they were selling their business, my dad ordered a bunch of food wholesale, so we would have it cheap, and we stocked the house with a bunch of food since they were getting rid of their business, and that would help us keep secure. My mom ordered alcohol. And I remember her sitting at our kitchen table, and it was when Paul and Doug and Jess and Hex have all seen this table because it's the same table when it's open. That thing was covered in all this different liquor, and then it was downstairs, and I remember her sitting on the phone with my aunt, like trying all the different wines. So then she brings it down here and she put it on the other side of this basement here. So one day me and my friend were like, do you think she's really gonna notice if we just take one bottle? And you know what we took? We took like cooking sherry brandy or something. It was so bad.
Yeah, I used to like steal my mom's booze, and then she'd start marking a bottle. So then once I got caught the first time because I didn't know what that little black line on the fucking bottle of Absolute was. I was like 15, like what the fuck is this? Like just, and she's like, you drank my vodka, and I'm like, I would never drink your vodka, Mom. I would never get between you and your Absolute, never. And she's like, I marked the bottle. That was the worst thing you could have did was tell me that that's what you do. So then I started like drinking her. I'd still drink her liquor. I was like, man, I'm so smart. Put some water in this because it's like clear. And little did I know that like when you drink a whole, like the rest of her bottle of Absolute and there should be that much booze left and you put that much water back in there, she's going to know. Some lessons I had to learn the hard way.
Yeah, I never drank. I would never got interested in that. My parents never drank either.
Well, you really couldn't because of your transplant, though,
No,
right?
I couldn't, no, yeah. My dad never was interested in drinking at all.
Well, if you ever get the itch to start drinking, you just hit me up and I will drink for you. Okay? You can get drunk vicariously through me, like just Hex can't be around because he'll drink 3/4 of the bottle or whatever the fuck it is I'm supposed to be drinking. But no, you said you were in special ed?
Yes.
So you never really got in trouble in school, huh?
No, not really. I used to get bullied a lot.
Well, I can imagine. See, when I was in school, I wasn't a bully. I would always I'd fight the bullies that were mean to, all the kids that couldn't or wouldn't stand up for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they did my work for me. They'd be like, you go beat that dude up and I'll do your U.S. history report or something like that. Fucking deal. I can go whoop Paul's ass. No problem. That's no problem.
Why'd you say Paul?
There was a kid in 6th grade named Paul that was a straight ass. So this kid that I went to school with, he was blind, right? And awesome dude. I sat next to him in our math class. He had like this little, it almost was what are those things called that the court people use? Stenographer. You know what I'm talking about? The little machine that they use to document court records.
A typewriter?
It's not a typewriter. It's like a whatever. It looked like one of those things. He had little earphones that he put in, and like that's how he would do his work. And he also had a seeing eye dog. His dog was a black lab, awesome dog. He would like yell at anybody that was like, here puppy, but he'd let me pet him. Like I'm like, aren't you not supposed to let people pet your fucking work dog, dude? Like, thank you. It doesn't mean I could say it.
It's like that diachromexis.
It's diamatosis earth, okay? Just because I can't spell it. Anyway, so yeah, like people would pick on this kid, and it's like, man, he's fucking blind. It's not like he's just a little dude, because little dudes can end up like learning how to fight and defend themselves. Like he's fucking blind. Like, why are you gonna pick on this dude? Like the old like kick me sign on his back. Like, how are you gonna walk up and slap the dude on the back like your buddies and put a fucking kick me sign on him? So I kicked the dude that put it on him.
That was
You know, just fucking kick him. Like you want someone to kick him, I'm going to kick you. And that's really how I got really through school up until I was like 18, and I was like, fuck this place, I'm out. Yeah, I had a girlfriend when I was 18. I had a job waiting for me. Like, I mean, I had weed to smoke. I'm like, I don't need this fucking shit. Like, I don't need this. But when I was in 7th grade, my assistant principal was on a first name basis with my mother, and she had my mom's work phone number memorized. So like I wouldn't go. Well, the principal wanted to beat me
I
up.
am
So
glad my kids do not go to regular school because I would be getting calls like all the time.
Definitely from Scar. Well, and Grayson. Yeah, it's definitely a good thing that our kids are homeschooled.
I beat up a kid in my algebra class once because he was a senior and he kept making fun of like the freak. That's what we called them. I mean, it's not an insult. They refer to themselves as freaks. You know,
I think it's spelled with a Q though.
Right? Some people may refer to it. They were not goth. They were freaks. Those were two different things.
Don't get them confused now.
But this kid, you know, he used to pick on the younger kids in the class, even the 9th grade girls. And one day I just was done. I'll never forget my one friend he was a freshman and he came in, it was Halloween, he was dressed in, he had on like a green wig and this like silver jacket and stuff. And this kid started making fun of him. And I was like, why don't you just shut the fuck up? So he starts telling me like mind your own business, all this other shit, and I said no. Why don't you start talking to me like that, or talk to somebody your size or your age that way? And he mouthed off to me, and I stood up and I threw my desk into him, and I just started jacking him in the head over.
Damn.
And I'll never forget his name, John Fichetti. And he was like this on his desk. And it's like, there's times where people are like, ladies, don't act like a dude. And it's like, you know what? Stop trying to act like you're a badass fucking dude picking on little kids and picking on little girls, because guess what? You know what? That motherfucker could have laid me out, but he'd still look fucking stupid because as a girl, I still got swings on him. Like, but he wanted to look bad. He wanted to look tough. That doesn't make you look tough. Pick on somebody your own size. This kid was pretty big, and the one of the kids that he was picking on was like so short. Like I was like eye level with him. Like I can't stand dudes like that pick on people weaker than them. I also beat up a kid that kicked my cat. Beat him up.
Okay, that definitely deserves to happen.
Yeah, he would cut through my yard all the time, and he would say mean stuff to me when he was cutting through my yard. So I started telling him, stop cutting through my yard. And then the one day I was looking out the kitchen window, and my cat was coming around the garage, and he kicked my cat, and I went out the back door of the house, and they were going through my yard, and I ran after him, and I
surprised you didn't carry a knife with you and did some crime.
Well, I grabbed him and I turned him around and I did exactly what my brothers told me to do, and I kicked him in the nuts and I jacked him in the eye. Don't fuck with cats, and don't cut through my yard and then call me names. Fuck you. I will beat you up.
Hey, don't fuck with my pussy, any of them. I'll fuck you up.
Yeah, he tried to tell everybody at school that he got hit in the eye with a baseball, but all of his friends that were there, they were like, "Nuh-uh, Alice punched him for kicking her cat," and all the girls were like, "You kicked a cat?" Yeah, I mean, and that's why, like, I hate when people see these, like, little clips of videos and they're like, oh, that girl deserved to get laid out. And I'm like, you don't know what that dude did before. You don't know. Like, quit. And I even said it about Crowder, as much as I think Crowder's a dick, and I think this was all, like,
Crowder is a dick, has always been a dick, and that's part of the reason why I liked him 4 years ago.
Well, it's been building up. There's a lot of stuff that's been coming out about him being abusive and controlling towards other people. But even I said, I'm not going to make
that up. I've noticed a lot of these, like, both on liberal and conservatives who are like high profile in the media. They do shit like this. When they have too much money and power, they start amusing their employees or their wives.
Yeah, and I actually nice segue, Amit. People like Crowder and Jesse Kelly are no different than JoJo from Jers or fucking Defiant Dad on the left. You could take out the name, eliminate the name, take out the talking points, and switch them with the name, and it's the same fucking thing. It's the same thing, right? Especially with like celebrity or like high profile, especially leftists in this case. John Cusack the other day tweeted a video out about, I think it was in LA, about all the homeless and shit. And they're like, he's like, oh, see, this is America. We're the richest country in the world. Why do we have this? And it's like, you just want people like us to pay for this, and you want to keep all your fucking millions.
Mm-hmm.
Just like people like Crowder, Jesse Kelly, to an extent, Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro will let you think whatever you want to think.
I don't like Ben Shapiro. I find him weird. I think he's
so much smarter than everybody else that he can debunk whatever you're going to say, right? So they're all for freedom and liberty and everything, as long as you agree with. Same with DeSantis, and I know Paul's a DeSantis fan.
I don't like DeSantis either, but continue on, Adam.
They're like adolescent, what's the fucking word I'm looking for? Tyrants. They're like adolescent tyrants, and once they get enough power, then whether it's Crowder with money or fame or whatever, it's all
true. Jess,
they're all the fucking same. They all have their own talking point, and if you think outside of their box, like Jess tried to do with like Jess does, then they don't like you, and they're going to attack you.
Well, the problem with a lot of them is that I very much encourage marriage and children, but I get that some people are.
I'm sorry, Paul. I thought you've talked DeSantis up. I'm pretty sure you have, but that's okay.
But I mean, you made me lose my train of thought.
Fucking Doug's pothole, man.
So what were you? Did you ever used to watch like Ben and Matt Walsh?
No. I didn't care for any conservative people at all, because when I got red pilled, it was only one thing, and I think I mentioned to both of you in the last episode, and if I didn't, you remember those two guys from the Epoch Times that had a YouTube channel that used to do like different documentaries on different subjects? Mm-hmm. There was one about Obama that they did, like I think it was an hour long, like 4-part one. I don't remember if it was 4-part or 3-part. That's besides the point. Watching that documentary woke me up to his bullshit and what he did with all the whole ISIS Taliban group, and how he funded them, and how he like destroyed like different Middle Eastern countries.
He was really good at that.
Very good at that.
He got a medal for it.
A peace medal.
Ever since watching that documentary and other ones that came out during the whole conspiracy movement type thing around the 2016 and on, I didn't really care for Alex Jones either.
I don't.
Alex Jones is batshit crazy. It just. I mean, the sad part is not. This is gonna sound like I'm defending him, but I'm not. He's been right about shit. You know what I mean? Like he's been really wrong about shit. But I mean, like he's been right about shit. And then like the more shit that he is right about, the harder the establishment tries to make him look crazy. And it's like, if you just let this fucking dude, if you just let this dude do his thing, well, you would hope people would have enough common sense to, realize that he's not like Nostradamus really isn't a good example.
People like that really badly. They can't. The problem with that is they attach themselves to these types of people, and then they get like in cultish way, like they're like listen to their every word, and they completely forget like they have their own thought process.
Yeah, I'm not so
exactly. They try to put themselves in the thought process of whoever they're simping for.
Exactly,
I liked Ben. I thought he was funny. I appreciated his kind of dorkiness, like.
And he got too big for his britches. Like that's just.
like, I mean, in high school, like, I loved talking to like the dorky kid because they were so themselves. You know what I mean? Like they were not the kids that were worried about fitting in, dressing a certain way. They accepted me for who I was. I accepted them for who they were. I loved being around them. And Ben, when he would, like people will make fun of him, like all he does is combat college students. That's really easy. But at the same time, I think those kids need that. I think kids need to have their ideas challenged. I think that's great for
And
kids.
they come at a like with hostility too. So it's not like just talking to a calm, cool, collective adult with a differing opinion.
But then more and more, I just started noticing when people would actually have questions for him, like Nuance Bro, and I
Nuance Bro's trying to get too big for his britches.
He, you know what, he put out a video of him doing what he used to do, and I really enjoyed seeing that.
That shit's great.
Yeah, it's because he's calm and
Bro.
he's not being a dick.
Combative.
But yeah, Nuance Bro asked him a question, and it was like Ben was just like, oh well, he couldn't.
He would scoff at him.
Yeah, like when he had. I always said one thing I would love to ask a conservative, and I ask it of liberals too when it comes to abortion. I'm against abortion. Like I went from being pro-life to being pro-choice to back to pro-life again.
Exactly, Jess.
But if a woman is raped, I do think it is within her right to terminate the pregnancy. I don't want to hear the it's not the child's fault. Well, right. What if it was a child who was raped? What if it was a young child, and people will say, well, a child doesn't stop your life. Okay, tell that to the 15-year-old soccer star that got raped. And, this happened, and I'm pretty sure she ended up having the kid, but she still argued I couldn't play soccer because I was pregnant. Mm-hmm. I was stopped from doing all these things that I love because this person made this choice. So a lot of conservatives, their argument is, and I agree, I say this to liberals too, that a very small percentage of abortions are because of rape. So I would love to ask that of Ben Shapiro. Like, well, would you be okay with a 14-year-old who is raped deciding to have an abortion? And somebody asked him a similar question, and it was just like, and he got mad. And then there was a time he walked off of a set of a show because somebody kind of was like, well, you did this, and he took the headset out, and he was like, no.
Well, that seems mildly inappropriate for a conversation.
But yeah, now but I never liked Matt Walsh. I would always tell Adam, I'm like, man,
Matt Walsh and
I don't have an opinion on him. I don't know him that well.
He's very smooth brain to me, as Hex likes to use a lot. A lot of people use it, but Hex, he's always tweeting about the smooth brains. And there are a lot of people that want to use the violence that we see in urban cities with Black people and turn it into this, well, look at, Black people are so violent and blah, 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 blah. And, Matt Walsh really grabs onto that stuff. But when Matt Walsh came out, and I mean, I'm sorry if any of you think this sounded any different, but when Matt Walsh came out and said, well, slavery is like a good thing because then we wouldn't, be here. And if there was no slavery,
the world would have just ended without slavery.
There would be no Matt Walsh. And it's like, okay, Adam and I would not be together if it wasn't for bad things that happen in our lives. My dad being sick changed the trajectory of my life. It made me look at life very different. I definitely think if my dad didn't get sick, I would be much more, I would have been more, I can be very OCD, like things a certain way. I think things should be a certain way. But my dad getting sick made me be like, well, you know what? I could like get sick and not be able to do all this shit. So yeah, I can learn anytime. I'm gonna go do the stuff I want to do while I'm healthy and I can do it. But I don't look back and say, gee, thank God my dad was sick. You know, it's just things happen and it changes the trajectory of things, but it doesn't make those things good things. I was also abused and molested as a child. I don't look at those as good things because I ended up with Adam. You know, and like when he says stuff like that, and people are like, "Oh, that's so profound." I'm just like,
No, it's smooth brained.
People are stupid. And
So
Jeff
Jeff said that people are
Jeff
retarded.
made a
and
good
put-
point that people are retarded and put themselves on pedestals. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
They do.
I was just going to say that. I was just going to point that out. And that is a serious problem. And it's
Mhm.
like it's not just political pundits or politicians. It's anybody in any kind of spotlight. You know, like I'm growing up without a dad, a single mom. You know, like by myself a lot as a kid. I didn't even have like a sports hero. Now there was people that I you know, there were sport figures that I enjoyed watching play the game, but I was never like I want to be that guy. You know, like I'm like sure in a backyard playing basketball, I'd be like, you know, Jordan or something like that. But like never did I look up to somebody like that and want to be like said person. And it was a struggle growing up to find somebody that I could look up to, that I could, you know, take direction from. I'll shut the fuck up.
no, well, because Amit always asks us these interesting questions about ourselves, and I enjoy his shows so much because it's just regular people talking about their regular but interesting lives. Amit, who are the top 3 people in your life that have influenced you the most? Because that's
My-
probably one of my favorite questions.
My
that
parents.
you have. Your mom and dad.
And my sister. That's really it.
Not even your cat, huh?
Oh, I talked to my cat like last year, so he can't count.
You put an interview together with your cat. I mean, I understand it wouldn't go 2 hours, but if you could like edit together like video of you talking to your cat, and then like
oh my
just a video of your cat looking at you like.
You know what's funny is my sister has told me to do that. Have my cat come
That'd
on
be
your
fucking
show.
hilarious. And then we could call your cat Jeffy Kelly, and it'd be like you're interviewing Jeffy Kelly. Because you know he's a pussy.
How is your sister? Your sister's older than you, right, Amit?
Yeah, she is.
How much older is she than you?
7 or 8 years. I've lost count. I'm bad with people's ages.
Is that your only sibling?
Yeah. I have my
Is she
dad. My
protective
dad
of you?
has. I have my uncle. Well, here. My dad has a brother, and he has kids, but I don't really associate with them anymore because they're 2 crack liberals that are kind of like I don't know. They're stupid. They're into like that whole like. They're into like that whole like lifestyle. I'm not into all that stuff. Like going out to eat and all that stuff. I'm like I don't. And they're into like.
Is your sister really protective of you?
Yes, she is. Yep. I am the same way.
You're the same way?
Is your sister married?
No.
I mean, it's like I won't allow that.
No, it's not happening. Not happening.
No, she's in a relationship with her boyfriend for already like 12 years, but he's had personal problems. Like both of his parents passed away a few years ago. One got COVID, and the other one got diagnosed with lung issues, so he passed away. So he's dealt with a lot of like personal tragedies.
Yeah, that's a lot to deal with.
Justin's talking about Jordan Peterson, and yes, he's gone batshit fucking crazy.
Yeah, I never liked him at all. Honestly, I don't care about these any of these like conservative people at all. They're all retarded.
It's
and they
weird
all
with
offer
Jordan.
money.
Who was it? Mike Oxlong put up that Crowder meme of change my mind, and it says, be like you'll have to look it up, but Ape's comment on it was, hey, people that try to put themselves in the spotlight and pass, morals and values on to others that you don't live by, you will be found out. And Jordan Peterson is the same thing. Like he had some of the best advice that anybody really should be able to hear. And that's clean your room. Don't worry about what somebody else's shit is going on. Worry about your own shit, and that's sound advice. But then you can't tell people that, while you're, going through whatever the fuck it is you're going through. And first, I think it's because he got off the pills.
No, I think whatever happened to him in Russia was severely fucked up. And
we haven't seen Jordan Peterson.
Dude, it's like seeing him now is like looking at a completely different person. The reason that I didn't start listening to Jordan Peterson as thinking he was right wing, I had no idea that he was being looked at among liberals as right wing. I just came across him after my mom died, and I was watching him being a professor and talking about stuff, and just that deep shit that a lot of people don't want to talk about, what grief does to you. And it was just good, and it helped me to remind myself of who I was and what my family is and what I needed to do. And and when we went to see him, one of my favorite parts was a guy asked Jordan Peterson, I want a wife. This is the kind of wife that I want. Yeah. How do I get that? And he said, well, think about the wife that you want.
Think about the woman that you want to marry to be that wife, and think about the kind of man that woman would want, and then be that man.
Are you the man that
type of woman
would want to be with? And I think, I'll talk to some guys and they'll say like, oh, well, you're different than other women, and it's like, well, I am, but in a lot of ways I'm not. I could sit down and talk to any mother, liberal, Republican, whatever, and we would bond over things. What I think, and what I think a lot of these single guys fail to realize is this whole conservative patriarchy type shit. I mean, I don't know. Keep that stuff in the bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally. Yeah. That's where the patriarchy belongs, is in the bedroom, and that's about it.
We're not saying that he ever pretended to be perfect. The point is like,
I didn't say that at all. I think that's not what we're saying. I think dude got fucked up on drugs. I think he's been surrounded by a lot of right wing talking points, and I think he's just I think he just kind of got fucked up in the head, and it doesn't change. I mean, look at what happened with the Dalai Lama recently. I read a lot of Dalai Lama books when I was going on my spiritual journey, like
Tai Chi.
Yeah, and I should do the Tai Chi again. It's really good for you. I didn't freak out on our wedding day. It must be.
Yes,
good.
First, all women are crazy. They're all, they're all bi. You got to figure out if it's sexual or polar.
Men are buttheads, so
yeah. But no, like even Buxom, with as far as Jordan Peterson, I agree that people who they haven't listened to a lot of them. They might have listened to like YouTube clips or short clips of some of his I don't know, show, concert, lectures. My biggest deal with his lecture that we went to was he was using fucking words that I had no idea what they meant. It's like I should have brought a fucking thesaurus with me so I could look this shit up.
It was so funny because we were living with my dad at the time, and I actually wasn't gonna go, and you said something to Dad about getting the tickets from your mom or whatever. My dad's like, just go, you know? So we get home and Adam's telling my dad, he's like, Dad, like he was talking about stuff, and I'm looking over at Alice and she's sitting there all like, and he's like, and I have no fucking clue what the hell they're
It's like every sixth word I felt like I needed to look up what the fuck it meant. Like, can we get a synonym here? Like, hey, dude, you got like dumb people in your fucking audience right now. Can we like, dumb it down a bit?
Well, what's interesting about him, about Jordan Peterson, is he'll talk a lot about different cultures from that are going on now to ones that happened thousands and thousands of years ago. And he talks a lot about those different cultures and, explains like, when you do this, this is often the outcome. When you do this, it's one of those things that he would talk about a culture and I'd be like, okay, now I want to know more about that culture. So I would look up more and I would learn more from that stuff. But yeah, when me and him went, I understood a lot of the stuff that he was talking about, and Adam's just like, but I also get mad when Adam calls himself dumb because he's not dumb at all. It's
He's
just
trying to
that
play dumb, but he's very smart.
yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying. See,
I
me
would-
gets me, why can't
I
you?
literally do the exact same thing. Adam, I do the same thing. I may be dumb, but I'm smart because here's my thing. I watch everyone what they're doing, and then I make my 2 cents and talk about them because I'm not like that quick.
That's all you can. Well, yeah, but like, that's actually to me, that's smart. Like, why am I just going to take somebody's word for it? If you could still like enjoy somebody or like somebody like a Jordan Peterson or a Crowder or who the fuck ever, but if you're just going to take what they say as gospel, then you're a fucking idiot. You need to think about it, and you need to like apply it to yourself, your everyday, or you need to think about it and try to understand how other people, try to apply that to their life or their everyday. If you just go and say, hey, so and so said this, so
yes,
yeah.
Paul. Yes, what Paul said. Paul said it, and if you can take the good from anyone while seeing the BS, there is nothing wrong with that. No one is perfect, but we all provide some good to this world.
Exactly.
Listen, I have a very racist aunt, but at the same time, the lady was very intelligent, and she could teach you a lot about life, about the way
Yes,
things
he did,
work.
Buxom. Yes, he did.
She
That's
was.
what turned us on to him. That's what. Well, she was watching him before, but like, yeah, when
I didn't
knew of them. But like, that's
know
what.
all that stuff. I was just.
Didn't he get fired from his job for being a professor because there was a trans student in one of his classes that said,
He called them "Hey guys."
yeah,
Or
and
something.
then someone made a big stink out of the whole pronoun thing, before we ended up, at this point. So you're absolutely right. That I'll actually give it up for Ben Shapiro because he had that sit down with that one transgender person and Dr. Drew or whatever, and he's like, and that's when the whole facts don't care about your feelings thing came about, and that transgender person put his hand on Ben Shapiro. It was like, if you misgender me one more time, they're gonna need to take you out for an ambulance or some dumb shit. And he's like, well, that seems mildly inappropriate for an adult conversation. like I mean, and like that's what that shit's. I mean, it's funny, but like that's what some of these people need to hear, and I think that's what like catapulted Ben Shapiro is shit like that, and that and tell a 19-year-old misguided youth, of America, like, no, you're wrong. It doesn't matter how you feel. What matters is fact, and there's facts that I don't like, but I'm not gonna cry and bitch over them. Like.
But yeah, the Dalai Lama shit upset me because so much of what I read from him really helped me on my spiritual path. And then I was just like, you know what? This doesn't change what I got from reading his books. It doesn't change the good that I got out of it. It sucks, I should probably, it's funny because in our classroom, I have a corner that's just my desk and it has a bunch of my stuff up there. And one of the things up there is one of my favorite Dalai Lama books is up there. And now I'm just like, I'm gonna have to take it down.
Don't
I
burn
mean,
it, but just put it in the garage.
yeah, I mean, I won't get rid of books. That is one thing I will not get rid of. I do not get rid of books. I
That's a
keep
good thing.
books. So, but I mean, yeah, I mean, it goes back to what Paul just said. Take the good from it. Was same with Jordan Peterson. I wish him the best. I do. I don't hate the guy. I just think he's really fucking lost it. But yeah, I mean, he was somebody listening to his lectures from when he was a professor, just was reminding me, like I said earlier, all the things that I needed to do and be after losing my mom. I didn't want to admit that my mom dying was hurting as much as it did. I did not, I wanted to be like, I'm strong. My mother taught me to be strong. I can't be sad. I can't be crying all the time. Like, I just have to face this and I have to act like nothing is bothering me. But it was the exact opposite.
History repeats itself, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
All great societies have all become androgynous before they fell. We are just living through the fall of Western society. We allowed it to happen.
That's right.
Yep. Yeah.
I think what scares me is I think the pendulum is swinging. Pendulum, damn it, is going to swing. And I just fear for another culty right-wing society because I don't want that either. I want people to live the life that is best for them, that's going to make them the happiest and most productive person they can be. And that's not always getting married and having children. Some people don't want that. There was a guy who said on Twitter, he's like, dude, I had a really fucked up upbringing, and I just think I would make a terrible parent. He was like, I don't think I have the time or the patience for kids. I think I would be a terrible parent. He was like, but people will tell me.
Exactly, Buxom. That'll take its toll on it. I mean, that kind of shit takes its toll on people. In Jordan Peterson's mind, he's like, here I am trying to, spread positivity.
He was a very normal, everyday guy, and he
got shit on him. He got shit on about it, and every person's got a breaking point, and who knows what was even going on in his personal life too.
Well, his wife had cancer.
Well, that's just what we knew. I mean, but everybody, it's not just the person that you see on stage. It's not just the person that you see behind the camera. There's other shit going on in their life as well, and yes, his purpose was noble. I'm not, maybe it still is. I'm not, in depth and, tuned with it all, but I loved watching Jordan Peterson, destroy liberal fucking hacks. It was great. The interview that he had with some BBC reporter on the news or whatever was great, because she's like, well, how do you explain this? And he started explaining it, and she kept interrupting him. And he's just like,
"No, so
do you want me to explain it or not?"
Saying it,
and really, unfortunately, it didn't do much for where we're at now. But at that time, we needed people like that. And I really didn't even think of him as like a conservative. It was just more of
he's not
of a human. Like, how can you look at a man and say that just because he's a provider and a protector for his family, that he's wrong and he should burn in hell? Like, how do you rationalize that? Like, that kind of shit is what, got me into Jordan Peterson. Not the whole using big fucking words.
So I know you said you watched the Epic Times stuff. Who is somebody that like you've enjoyed watching when it comes to talking about what goes on with culture and politics? Like, who is somebody?
No one.
Just me and Adam and sibling rivalry.
Pretty much, yeah.
We have all the best advice. Not really. You know what my advice is? don't play yourself off to be perfect. Just like I look at my mom and dad. My mom and dad were not perfect, but if anybody listens to me, I talk very highly of my parents. They made mistakes. There was ugly things that happened, but my parents were really good parents. And I think we look at people and we expect them to be so perfect, and people aren't perfect, but there are a lot of people that are trying to present themselves as perfect. And like Adam and I have said over and over about ourselves, we're not perfect. Our marriage isn't perfect. Part of the reason we had our vow renewal is because there was a point after my dad died that, not like, oh my God, we're going to end up divorced, but it was like, I don't know if we're going to be as happy. I don't know how long it's going to take to work through all these things. And we did, and we came out happier because we listened to each other and we understood each other, and it made our vow renewal mean a lot to us. But yeah, too many people try to play this perfect lifestyle, and most people don't have it. Couples argue. I mean, and that's why, like with the Steven Crowder thing, there's two sides to every story. It doesn't look good, but at the same time, we don't know. She could be just as manipulative. She could be just as shitty. We have no idea. I mean, the only thing I can say was he should have never said what he said on that announcement. He should have just said we're getting a divorce. And that's it. We're not gonna talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, was your mom a stay-at-home mom, or did your mom work?
Stay-at-home mom.
That's good. So do you think, as like you've said, you wouldn't want your kids to go to a public school? Private school is very expensive. The cheapest one around us is like $3,500 a year. And that's here. I don't know what that's like in other states. Would you be scared, like on a date with a woman nowadays? Would you be scared to be like, I want my wife to stay home. I want our kids like in a private school, or to be homeschooled, or in a co-op. Like they're not as big here. I don't know if you guys know about co-ops, but it's basically a few students, parents get together, they send their kids to like learn. They're all different ages, and it's just like a few hours a week, and the rest of the time they're with their own parents. Would you be scared to say that to a woman that is what you would?
Hell no. She'll be also, here's the thing, I have to find a woman that actually wants to do the same thing if she had kids in the future with someone else.
That's the hard part.
Would you be with a woman who already had kids?
No. Mm-mm.
You're a dick. So am I. I dated one guy with a kid, and I'm like, and I just decided.
Here's my thing. I would want my own kids. I don't want someone else's kids from a different parent that the kids already grew up with. That'd be kind of weird, because then I would have to like get to know them well and like have them like gel with me, and I don't want that stress. I want someone who's single. I can spread my seeds into her, and we can have a baby.
Me getting the dirty turkey talking.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to date a man.
Me neither. First,
with kids.
Oh my God.
I wanted our first time having kids to be something that we shared together. Now, I think it's wonderful that there are people who will step up and be stepmoms, stepdads, whatever. Like I said, my best friend is a single mom. Well, was a single mom, but the guy that she's with had a kid previously, so I think they can have a different understanding when they're both in that, like they get.
Just wait till they learn to fuck you, Randy.
But yeah, I didn't want that, and yeah, so I had these 3 things. He couldn't have kids from a previous relationship. He had to have a steady job, and he couldn't come from a broken home.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
2 out of 3 ain't bad. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, but then the guy that I kind of dated a little bit before him, he came from, you know, a nice family. I knew his family. And I was like, wow, you're like a spoiled, rotten little.
Is this the one that became a cop?
No.
Oh.
No, remember his brother died, his mom, remember? Yeah. She was, yeah, that was weird. Yeah, I have an ex that became a cop.
I was about to fight him.
Yeah,
in the front yard.
one shot made a good point. Yeah, the dating world sucks. That's why I'm kind of holding out hope I find someone soon. Because I have zero interest in being on dating apps.
Yeah, I mean, dating wasn't that great when I was doing it. A lot of guys, like I mentioned to you before, didn't really want anything to do with my dad. I went out with a guy that was conservative, and I said that, yeah, when I have kids, I want to stay home. He's like, oh, so you get to sit at home all day and do nothing while I go and work my ass off for you? And I was like, excuse the fuck out of me. But what's funny about him is
Everything.
when we started dating, he said to me, he was like, well, if you get pregnant, we're getting married, and that's all there is to it. And I was like, excuse me? Because I was not, no, I'm not going to marry you just because I'm pregnant. But he was very much like, okay, when we get married, I want you to stay home, and I want a mom that's going to be around for my kids, because my mom was never around. And yeah, I'll never forget sitting on the balcony and it really hitting me at our apartment. I was like, oh, fuck, I'm a mom. I'm going to be a mom, and I'm never like going to work a regular job. And if I do, it's going to be years and years from now, because we wanted more kids. We actually wanted 3.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
2 out of 3 ain't bad. But yeah, it was scary. It's scary, you know. I mean, it can get hard not making your own money. When I got my inheritance, I was so excited to see my name on a check again. Hey,
And here's my thing. I don't really care about money. Like, I'm not that type of person that, oh, I have this much money. I never really cared. Like, if my dad gives me money, I was like, okay, take it back. I don't want it.
You want my address?
so fun fact about me. I was engaged before Adam when I was younger, and he stole a bunch of my checkbooks and bought cocaine with them. So I got really weird about money, and it's still in it. No, I'd say I'm a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a lot better. But yeah, I was very much because of my mom and dad, I was very much into saving money and having complete control of my money. So it was, man, it was hard for me to give up working. It was really hard for me to do. It was not easy. I did not like it. What you?
Prostitutes did. That's how Jerry Springer got busted.
Jerry Springer died.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, R.I.P. Jerry Springer.
I
Man.
mean, Amit was born in like 3 years before Jerry Springer show took off.
Wow.
Jerry Springer was like the Twitter of the 90s. I actually know someone that went on Jerry Springer.
Wait a minute. Amit, do you look at classic? Do you think 80s and 90s rock is classic rock?
Okay, here's the thing. My music nowadays is kind of like weird. I only like stick with one band, and that's really it. I don't go like to other bands because they all sound the damn same now, especially metal music. Like, I listen to 80s and like a little bit of 90s, but like newer metal, they all sound the damn same.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about like Metallica and all them and that genre group and them, but it's like the newer ones.
Yeah, there's because we really like country music. And when we'll be in the car, you have to understand.
Not all of it, Buxom. This dude seriously stole this dude's girlfriend, and it was all legit. I wish I could remember what episode it was. I find myself scouring the internet trying to find it, but not all of it was made up. Not,
Was that douchey dude whose girlfriend ended up dying
Yeah.
of cancer?
Yep.
Oh,
And
he
this
was
dude is
such
so
a
grubby and
loser.
such a loser. And
I'll
he
be
came
back.
out
I'm
like,
gonna use the restroom.
okay.
I have to pee too. Look at a meat store. Watch. Oh wait. No, it's okay. So I wanted a door like this, but we can't have it on our bathroom.
What, because the kids will break it?
Well, no, because our bathroom you see straight into, but obviously you can't see straight. Like you would see, like if you were peeing, like you would see the shadow of you being like this. Peeing. See, because it's a shadow. But I really like those doors, and I want to put one somewhere.
I'm sure there was shit that was made up because, I mean, come on, there can't possibly be that many.
Oh yeah,
fucked up
oh
people.
yeah.
I mean,
a lot of stuff was made up, and then some of it was like a glimmer of truth, and then they would just like add on.
does anybody remember Jenny Jones?
We
So,
watched that.
We watched. They did make up some love, not all of it. I'm not saying that like some of it wasn't like scripted, but this dude, everything that what happened on Springer is what happened here in the 216. Like the dude came back. What was it? That was
Ricky Lake.
That was Chicago, and he came back with a black eye because he got beat up on Jerry Springer. Like, but so anyway, Jenny Jones had this episode where it was like Secret Crush or like Secret Crushes or whatever, and this was up in Michigan too, Paul. The dude had I don't know. There was this chick that knew this dude that was gay, and then she knew this other guy, and her gay friend had a secret crush on this other dude, and the other dude he wasn't gay, but they brought him on the show and said Jenny Jones told him, hey, there's someone that's got a crush on you, and this chick and this dude are going to be, here too. And I guess he was hoping that it was going to be the chick that had a crush on him, and it was the dude that had a crush on him, and it was like in front of, I don't know, 500 people, however many they have in the audience. And then like on daytime TV, he comes out and the dude fucking kisses him. Well, they go back to Michigan, and the dude, the not gay dude, goes and shoots the gay dude because of like what happened. It was, I can't remember the name of the documentary that we watched, but I mean, not all that shit was made up. I mean, the dude that I know was definitely banging this chick, was definitely trying to raise this other dude's kid, and he definitely got his ass whooped on that set. I mean, it was like the Twitter of the 90s. Like everybody, we used to like sneak a TV into our auto shop class, and we'd be upstairs in the classroom when we should be ripping apart an engine. We'd be watching fucking Jerry Springer.
Yeah, that show was crazy. I've seen a little bit of it. People were weird on that show.
And like, I'm some of the shit, man. Like, I can't. Some of the shit that was on that show was just, oh.
It was insane.
Steve was a security guard that got his own show. Yep.
Yeah, Steve was kind of hot. He had that stone cold look about him.
Steve Wilkos, or Donnie, you would be a fucking Donnie. Remember on Geraldo, he had the KKK on, and one of the KKK members threw a chair at Geraldo and it busted his nose. Like there was this giant brawl on Geraldo in the 90s, and Geraldo got he got one of them like office chairs like chucked at his face. And yeah, he comes back and they go to commercial. They come back and Geraldo's sitting there talking to you. He's got his hair all fucked up. He's got his nose is even bigger than it usually is, and he's got this like scrape on it. Oh man, those were the good old days, man.
Well, you know what's funny? I mean, that I say a lot is when people our age talk about like the wholesomeness that we grew up with. And I'm
I
like,
don't think that's what it was.
I'm like, yeah, I mean, we had some really good, pretty wholesome shows when we were younger. Family Matters,
Not no more.
Fresh Prince, but it's
There's-
like, but dude, we also had trash talk shows, man, that kids were watching after school when their parents weren't home. Like, it was bad.
No, but that documentary series, it was on, I think it was on Netflix. It was a 4-parter. It was about that Jenny Jones episode. The vigilante killer in New York City, or the not killer, but
We watched so many documentaries.
it was about a vigilante in New York City in like the 80s. An African exchange
Daniel
student that came to New York City. He got shot like 175 times by New York cops, and they got away with it. That was like in the 90s, I think, early 2000s. And I can't remember what the last one was. There was 4 of them, or did I name 4 of them? That was 4 of them. That was all of them.
A docu, because we way before we were talking about the prison system and the school system.
On the E channel, Daniel.
There is a documentary called Monopoly on Violence.
Mm-hmm.
You should watch that. It's pretty good. They talk quite a bit about, like, some of it's kind of boring with what's his face, but they talk quite a bit about how the school system was created and where it came from. But that's a good one that we watched, yep. Monopoly on Violence. And like Maj Touré's in it, Dave Smith is in it.
Isn't that to do with Kash Patel? Or is that the one with or I think it's actually pronounced Hesh.
Cash?
Hesh?
No, I think it's Cash. He always said, I have a really weird crush on Kash Patel. I'm not gonna lie. He's cute.
Fucking kamikaze cracking me up today. Oh my god. That'll teach him. He was in like a little foyer of his apartment building, and he was trying to get either his key or his wallet, and cops just came up and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And it's just this black dude, and it was in the middle of the night. And I mean, he was an African exchange student, and I guess he turned around, and they 4 cops like unloaded on him.
Ooh, Third Rock was a good show. That was a funny one. Yeah. Yeah. I thought you were talking about the car that got shot up.
That was in Cleveland.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. We watched so many documentaries that I don't know what the fuck
there
is
was
what.
a chase in Cleveland. This was somewhat recently, like within the past 5 years. There was a chase in the city of Cleveland there was like 50,
his car backfired.
His car backfired. There was like 50 cops involved in this chase that going through the city, and they got him. They got him, cornered in a lot, or I think it was a parking lot of a park in the middle of the night. And it was like 137 rounds. Like, that's the name of the documentary.
One officer under the bus.
Yeah, this one cop jumped up on the hood while like all these other cops were shooting, and jumped up on the hood and was just unloading his gun and through the windshield. There was no gun found in that car.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think I don't like how a lot of people value police officers' lives over civilians' lives. And you see it with police officers and you see it with civilians.
That was great, Paul.
Listen, you should always... I am not the libertarian that's going to knock on all cops. I think there is a use for police forces. I just think ours really sucks. I think there's some areas where they're really good. But I don't think we ever really had like a great police force if you really look at history of our police forces. But yeah, I think what happened with that is they thought that guy fired a gun at the police station, but his car just backfired. You could see it on video, clear as day, that his car just backfired. And these police just went nuts and just emptied round after round after round.
It was seriously, I really want to say it was 137 shots, because I did the math with how many cops were there versus how many rounds were fired, that these cops had to mag swap for two people in a car that didn't have a gun. Like, and there was no stop, get out of the car. It was like your typical movie shit, like, gun, boom, 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 boom. Same with the black dude in New York City that got shot. Well, the cops are special, but they're black people special. I don't know how cultured y'all are, but if a black dude or a black person calls you special, they don't mean that as a compliment. It means retarded.
Hex calls Adam special.
Only when he drinks 3/4 of my bourbon.
Yeah, it was totally him drinking all that bourbon that night.
What else?
What was that? I was gonna ask him something before.
Goddamn Doug and his potholes.
Before we landed the plane. I know, and I was so well behaved tonight. I didn't have any.
That's right, yo. I didn't do well in math classes till we started talking about weight and grams.
I'm not even gonna lie. When I'm baking, I still have to go back to like how you separate an ounce of wheat.
That's how you.
I think we all do that.
How come you all of a sudden started participating in class? It's like, because I weigh that shit out before I come in the morning.
Did you guys ever watch this documentary called Evil Genius, the true story of America's most debacle bank heist? It's on Netflix.
I do recall seeing Evil Genius. I don't know if we actually watched it.
Yeah, we both love documentaries. Yeah, we love documentaries.
There's definitely 40 ounces in a 41st to pull a little out,
Yeah, we'll have to. Damn it. I'm going to start keeping a pen and paper down here because there are so many times where I'm doing a stream and somebody will bring something up. And then the next day I have to go back through the stream trying to find it again so I can remember what the hell I need to watch or look into. But sometimes, man, it's like too much, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have you seen the stuff with the Oklahoma City bombing and the officer at the Oklahoma City bombing or the security guard?
I don't know that much about that whole story. I just learned about Columbia.
So one of there's a libertarian guy, I can't remember which one it is. He follows me too. God damn it. I want to say it's Jose. Is Forrest mommy still in here? She might remember which one it is. But so I started looking into this stuff and woo-wee. I was like, God damn. So sometimes it gets hard because there's just so much stuff to look into because the government does so many horrible stuff and so many horrible things. And this is why I tell, like, sometimes I'll bring up to libertarians, like, stop with you need to read an economics book or you need to read this and you need to read that. It's like, no, dude, just go look at the actions. Go look at how these things work out. Like, you can clearly show people, like, government did this to help these people, situation got worse. Government did this to help this, situation got worse. And then you can show also all these shady ass things that have happened in our government that, like, there's people that I think with 9/11, I think they just allowed it to happen. I don't think it was. I think they just.
A few days after.
That's what I'm saying. That happens a lot in our government. They allow terrorism to happen and even encourage it to instill fear amongst the people.
And then cause a divide amongst racial ethnicities.
Mm-hmm. And Republicans fall for that shit too. Like a lot of this stuff that they say about black people, and Hex brought this up the other day, and he brings it up a lot. Like, a lot of you are just finding excuses to bring out your own racism, And I grew up around all different cultures and races. My parents owned a business, so I was always meeting different people. And then my sisters went to an all-girls school, and a lot of them were black. And these were prestigious type families, like well-to-do families that did this stuff. So I don't look at black people that way because I've actually like gone outside.
So I mean, Paul wants to know what if you have any recommendations of an economics book for Doug.
No, the only one I shared on the show. That was the only one.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
That is funny.
Yeah, same with me. I had black people, black friends in my like overall like classmates. I had black people, Asian people. I had one gay person who was Asian. I didn't say anything about him. I thought he was a little bit weird, but I wasn't going behind his back and saying shit about him. I was
Yeah,
like, I was like, okay, that's nothing to worry about with me. He has his own life. He wants to be that kind of person. Let him be.
and there's a
Not enough of that kind of thinking in the world of me.
there's a lot of people like my best friend, she's half black, half Puerto Rican. And listen, she like just like me, she will, tell you to shut the fuck up, watch your fucking mouth. She can be rowdy, but when she's at work or when it like when she called McDonald's the one day, that's the only thing I can think in my head. She was so appropriate in the way she talks. And we like everybody's like that. So just because it's no different than when I'm in a relaxed, more chill environment, especially the more beers I have, you're going to get a lot more like dudes and bros and likes out of me. Whereas when
shut the fuck up, Pauls.
And I think people just make these judgments and yeah, it's because like their parents just never had them out in the world. Mouthy Mom brought it up. She said a lot of you suburban, white, middle class conservatives have no idea what life is really like in low income neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
We lived in Cleveland. Now, a lot of people will think like Cleveland, they think like danger, danger, danger. Is it definitely safer where we live now? Yeah, but I didn't live somewhere where I was like scared to walk down the street.
Right.
I didn't freak out if I saw a black person coming walking. The only thing that is their demeanor. There's white people that I'll be like, this person looks sketchy, and it's just so funny to me that so many people want to use this, well, 13% of black people, and it's just like, is that all black people? No, it's not. So who are you to say this? And you know what? Every time I go online, when I see this weird trans shit going on, with the exception of one that I've seen recently, it's all fucking white women. It's white women. It's white men molesting children. So don't give me like all this shit about how terrible black people are, because how would you feel if people started turning around and being like, well, I don't want my kids, if black people were like, I don't want my kids around white people because you want to cut their dicks and boobs off.
Mm-hmm.
You could make the same assumption.
Yeah, have you noticed that a lot of those types of parents are liberals who like to like do all those nasty stuff?
Right.
And it's really, really fucking weird that we just cut children's dicks off and their boobs. Well, on that note, y'all, we are gonna land this plane.
Sorry, Randy, I didn't tell my story. I'll save that for next week, maybe.
What story?
About the bottle of vodka and I'm not that drunk.
Oh, we can tell that real quick.
No, because there's no real quick about it. It's already after 10 and I got to work in the morning. No. We'll tell that one. I'll tell that one next week. Randy, if you want to come on, I'll tell it to you, to your face next week.
Yeah, we're gonna. So before we close, Adam and I are really enjoying just having these kind of chill sessions. As you see, Paul did a nice party background for us that says Forky Lounge, and we just want to have different people from our group that we just want to hang out with and shoot the shit with for a couple of hours, because we don't like going to bars. We're not those type of people.
Same here.
Yeah, so it's nice to have this. So if any of you guys, whenever you want to come on and just hang out with us,
slide into the DMs, yo.
Yeah, St.
into
Michael.
The Thicksters DM.
St. Michael's going to be on with us next week. But yeah, we're just going to kind of keep this kind of tight knit and whatnot. But yeah, just guys, reach out to us if you want to come on. And this is just kind of what we're going to be doing. It's going to be the Forky Lounge where we just pretend that we're at a
Shoot
bar.
the shit, man. Just shoot the shit.
Yeah. So,
So thanks for rearranging your schedule to come on, Amit. It was.
Oh, you're
it was
welcome.
great.
And thanks for having me.
yeah, and yeah, let us know any Friday you want to come on. You're more than welcome. I don't want to have more than like 3 or 4 people on.
First, you can come on whenever you want, dude. You want to come next week?
Come on next week. Please.
I'll go get my 3/4 of a bottle of bourbon from Hex, and
I would love to have you on first. You're one of my favorites.
thanks everybody for the holding down the chat. I don't think Mike's on here anymore, but thanks for the 15, yo.
Thank you, Michael. We will see you next week. Well, I'll see him Sunday, probably, I'm assuming. But Amit, anything you want to plug?
No, just follow me on Twitter at Hockett Podcast. This is on screen. And follow and listen to my show on YouTube, Rumble, and all podcasting platforms. That's it for me.
I didn't put all the links in the description. But
Slacker.
sorry.
I have a link for you. You can find it there.
So don't forget, guys, to watch Sibling Revelry tomorrow. It will be Daniel on, if I am correct. I'm not sure who's
In
on.
costume.
Yes, I'm not
Daniel,
sure.
you're anytime, guys. Anytime anybody wants to come on.
Yeah,
you just hit me up and we'll make it happen.
Yeah, we're gonna keep this very casual and fun for everybody. So yes, watch Sibling Revelry tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 Central. And don't forget Golden Showers on Sunday. And follow us on Twitter for all of Adam's disgusting remarks that he makes about priests. I saw what you said.
Have a good night, guys.
Love you guys.
Good
Good
night.
night.